Welcome back to the NaNoWriMo Prep-A-Thon. Get ready for perhaps the most productive writing month of your life. From setting up your writing routine hacks to creating narrative arcs for one-off books and a series, plus a full roadmap of what publishing your book will look like after the writing is done. I am Morgan, your faithful host. Today is day 5, the reverse outline technique, a professional book editor's trick to quickly pinpoint exactly what you'll revise and in what order to level up your first draft and into a compelling book that you'll be proud to publish. If you are catching this video and you're like, wait, but I want the resources and all the things, join us. Go to paperhavenbooks.com/nano, and that will get you registered for free for this challenge. You'll get all the replays and the recordings and the resources and all the things. Thanks, guys. All right, common challenges for writers and authors. If this sounds familiar, you are not weird. You are a normal human who is trying to write a book. My biggest challenge is being able to focus and concentrate on finishing the stories that I have started writing / typing up. When I set aside time to work on typing up my stories, I'm easily distracted by other things. This is when we lose the big picture, the big vision. We forget what's coming up and in what order. I tend to overthink how my ideas should fit together because I get so many ideas that I, on occasion, just want to edit out a portion when I feel like something else would work better, when what I want, when what I would have taken out is just as good. And then I have the idea of taking it out to someone else, to something else. We tend to, when I ask these questions about what are our challenges, it's like we hit this like run-on sentence button usually, where it's like, there are so many ideas and I don't know how they all fit together. It is very frustrating. So if you feel like that's a little bit the emotion behind your frustration, again, quite normal. And ultimately, these kinds of challenges tend to boil down into this question that writers ask, which is, what's the best way to stay focused on the big picture so I can keep writing or start revising? And so what we're going to be talking about here is the relationship between keeping a zoomed out big picture view versus a zoomed in wordsmithing kind of view. So zoomed in is when we are actually like writing or altering sentences, right? So we are wordsmithing, we are checking our facts and details, we're thinking about capitalization and spelling and grammar and sources and citations, like we're very in that sort of detail-oriented mode. We quite naturally sort of click into this mode when we are in the process of writing or actively editing. It's just kind of where our mind goes. This is true of writers. This is true of editors. Like this is just kind of the cognitive, you know, your brain can't multitask very well. So are you zoomed in thinking about the words themselves, or are you zoomed out? Zoomed out looks like asking these big picture questions. Are these scenes and sections in the right order? Am I missing anything? Are there any redundancies? You know, what is this character's motivation? And when you ask those bigger character, plot, story, world kind of questions, that's when you're zoomed out. When you go to actually write them or fix them, that's when you're zoomed in. And so we want to be thinking about, am I in a sort of a posture or a position of being zoomed out, or am I zoomed in? And most of the time, we tend to zoom in way too quickly and get frustrated, and we don't really have a mechanism, a method to zoom back out, something that will pull us back out. So what's the best way to zoom out when you need to? I'm going to suggest that when we do this reverse outline process that I'm going to take you through kind of step by step, we are going to zoom way out to look at the entire structure of what we've written so far. This may be your whole first draft. This may be a work in progress. This may be, you know, a few scenes kind of strung together. But we can zoom out and look at what we've just written. We can make decisions on what we're going to change in the structure, and then we can zoom back in to actually revise or implement any of those big structural decisions. Thank you, Susan Elizabeth. I appreciate that. So here's how you do a reverse outline. So it's pretty simple mechanically. It just takes some practice. So we're going to open up a blank document, or you can put, you know, on your desk, blank set of pieces of paper. I like to do this when I was doing this in the early days, I would almost always have to have the blank pieces of paper next to me so that I would resist the temptation to change the document in front of me. So you're going to have your work in progress, your first draft, whatever it is, up in front of you. And then I recommend, at least starting out, you have just a stack of paper next to you with a pen. And as you're reading, you're going to be reading pretty quickly, right? We're not changing anything in the draft, but we're going to start reading and we're going to start taking notes on the main points, what's happening. And we're going to stay high level, right? So a paragraph might translate into a sentence, or several paragraphs might translate into a sentence. And I mean, really, it doesn't have to be a sentence. It's just, you're literally taking notes. Who did what happened, what was the, internal reaction that the character had, where are they moving from one location to the next in the story, like just in a very brief, concise, note-taking way, what's happening in the story. You're creating an outline of what already exists, right? So instead of outlining and then writing, we're just doing the exact inversion of that. We're outlining what's already been written. Put yourself back in 10th grade English when we had to do this all the time as students, right? We were reading a book that was assigned to us in English class and we're taking notes on it. It's the same process. Yeah, exactly. Casey says a gut read, not a revision. Yep, exactly. Note where any part or chapter or section headings are. So if you've got like dividers, and it's like it's a scene change or a chapter change, just kind of note that. Maybe it's a different color pen, maybe you're just drawing an arrow, but just so that you can kind of keep track of where you are in the book. This could become an 8, 10, or 12-page outline, just as a heads up. And when you're finished, you can actually spread out your pages and see your book structure. So like if you have a big wall behind you, the way that I have a wall, what this enables you to do is actually you could even tape up all of these, pieces of paper, and then you can literally see the whole book at the same time. This is what if we don't have a reverse outline, we have a tendency to want to try. Have you ever seen those, like, maybe we've even done it before. Has anyone here done this where you print out your entire book and you lay it out on like the living room floor? Because there's just some part of you that wants to see the movement from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3 to chapter 4, right? This condenses all of those pieces of information. It creates kind of like a shortcut or heuristic, and you actually will be able to spread out something like 10 pages and see the whole progression. So again, if it's an entire first draft, it's something like 10 pages. If you are still in the writing process and you kind of got stuck and you just want to see what have I written so far, it might be just a few pages, right? Another option, you can do the reverse outline, and this can be in addition to or instead of, if that sounds like a nerve-wracking process. You can actually do a reverse sketch. So again, get a piece of paper, do the sketch just like we talked about yesterday, and then just kind of say, okay, well, what's happening and when, and almost like a timeline. This essentially becomes a curved timeline. You can just write what's happening in the book. Now, this is even more condensed, right? You can't fit 8, 10 pages of information on this. So this becomes an extremely high level sort of sketch of what's happening in the book, but it can help you to boil down what are the most important pieces in the plot movement. So this is separate from the draft. So what I'm suggesting here, Isaiah, is that when you're doing this reverse outline process, you're creating it in a blank document or on a blank pieces of paper. So you have the draft in front of you, but you're not actually writing anything in the draft. You're not adjusting anything in the draft. You're just reading it like a reader and making these high level notes that might become 8, 10, 12 page kind of summary, essentially. But you want to be detailed enough that you can see what are the characters doing, where are they, what's happening, sort of, moment by moment in a high level kind of concise way. And then this is also a separate piece of paper, right? A reverse sketch. This is even more, one level zoomed out even more. where you're really only able to hit the most high level points of what's happening in the book. Yep. So this helps you to make a strategic revision plan. So you can look at your reverse outline. You've got this stack of 10 pieces of paper of your notes, and you might want to grab a different color of pen and just kind of circle or make a mark that sort of indicates something's not quite right here. Maybe put a bracket around it and say, I think I want this to be different. We need to add, I need to add some sort of backstory to explain this motivation, or I need more description here for this setting, or I need a transition. They move from this location to that location, or, we're missing a whole, setting, like we need to set the scene is kind of what I'm saying. So we need to add more detail kind of right here. So those are just big picture notes that you will make in the reverse outline itself. And you can also make corresponding notes in the draft at this point. If you want to kind of make a comment in the draft, this is what I'm talking about in the reverse outline, that you can start to make those notes in the draft itself, but we're not making a lot of changes right now. We're making the plan for what we're going to change. And we're only thinking about big changes. So we're thinking about character development, moving the plot along, locations, how we're getting from one location to another, transitions. Is there enough action? Are the stakes high enough? Is that climax, really putting the reader on the edge of their seat? Is that resolution doing what I want it to do? What's left unresolved? Those sorts of big questions. So we're going to make all of those notes in our reverse outline to keep us grounded, to give us the map of what we're doing. Now we can go back, and now we can really begin to reread that book and start revising because we have a map now. So think about how this is different than our tendency. Our tendency is to say, okay, I've gotten, partway through writing the book, or maybe I finished a first draft, and now I'm going to go back and do a revision. And what we will typically do is just start reading with chapter 1 and make changes as we go. This is problematic for a couple of reasons. One, we end up reading chapter 1 over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's why the first 50 pages of a book are usually pretty good. But we're not really fixing the storyline as a whole. We have a lot of concentrated effort up front on the book, and not as much effort sort of throughout the storyline. The second reason that's problematic is we're so zoomed in because we're reading to make changes right then and there. So we're doing a lot of wordsmithing, but we are losing, we're looking at the trees and we don't even know the shape of the forest at this point, right? We're not keeping track of the bigger questions of character motivation, plot progression, scene setting, transitions, world building, those sorts of things. So this technique, this reverse outline, though it is cumbersome, does help you to make zoomed out structural changes before you zoom in and get stuck in those detail weeds. So here's the premise. We want to make your storyline better before you make your individual scenes better. So think about that zoomed out position. Think about the storyline first, then you can come in and craft those individual scenes. Once those scenes have been revised, you can wordsmith those individual sentences, right? So now we can get into the rhythm and the poetry and the prose of the sentences themselves. And only after we've, wordsmith do we even care about punctuation and grammar, really. So this is often the opposite in a weird way of what we tend to do. We tend to start with chapter 1 and just try to fix everything as we go. It ends up being a lot of, is this comma in the right place? Is this spelled correctly? Does that sentence make sense? And we have lost the scene setting and storyline. So instead, we're flipping this around. We're saying, write as much as you can. You've sketched your narrative arc like we talked about yesterday. You're writing as much as you can. At some point, you hit a wall. Instead of going back to chapter 1 and just rereading, this is what I'm suggesting, that when you hit that wall or you finish your draft, go back and reverse outline, reverse sketch, put yourself in that zoomed out position, look at the whole thing and kind of make a plan before you go back in and start changing anything in the draft. So hopefully this helps. Okay, good. And so my challenge for you today is to take something that you have written and try a reverse outline or a reverse sketch. It can be a little bit, as I said, cumbersome the first few times that you give it a go, but eventually you're just training your brain on how to click into this cognitive function of being able to stay high level, take the notes, and not dive into the weeds. So, and then afterward, ask yourself this question: what changes would I make at a high level? And so, just like with everything, with our wonderful, beautiful brain, it just takes a little bit of training, right? We introduce this idea, we practice it, and we get better and better and better at it. Amazing. I hope that is helpful. And the question that might be lurking in the back of your mind is, well, it's one thing to write a book. What's the best way to get my book published? And so these are some of the things that when I was putting all of our notes together for today, I was like, I just feel like there are some things that I have presented in various ways at various times. And I just felt like this is what you need to know if you really are committed to writing this book and publishing this book. It is better to think about these things early on in the process than to be caught by surprise later on in the process. So I want to share with you kind of a dirty little not so secret of the book publishing industry that will help to frame my lessons learned and my suggestions for you. So a publisher, a traditional publisher, will invest in 100 books, knowing full well that only a handful of books will sell. So many of us, we have almost been culturally conditioned to say, well, if I just get my book into the hands of Penguin Random House, my book will be a success. The problem is Penguin Random House does not look at your book the same way that you look at your book. Penguin Random House says, well, we just need X number of books to publish because Y number of books, a much smaller number of books, will actually sell well. And this has been documented for years and years, but became very public in the most recent trials of the potential merger between big publishers. There are 5 big publishers, but when Penguin Random House was trying to absorb Simon Schuster, they had to go to a court of law. They put the CEOs of these companies on the stand, and they asked a bunch of questions about, the publishing process and trying to get at whether this would be breaking antitrust laws to do this kind of merger. Jane Friedman, who is a long-standing sort of, she runs this hot sheet on all the news in the publishing. She did some really great reporting on this big case. And she reported, as we were kind of coming towards the end of the case, what we saw is that a really small percentage of winners drive profitability for the big 5 publishing companies. So your Penguin Random House, your Simon Schuster, your HarperCollins, I'd have to look at the other ones, but there are 5 big publishing houses in the US, and it's a very small percentage of their books that actually bring in the money. And sometimes the publishing houses know what those books are going to be called, what those books are going to be, and they're paying larger advances thinking they know what the winners are going to be. But more often than not, it's the surprises. It's the things that had a more modest advance, and it shocked everyone how well this book performed. In the case, it was portrayed as almost out of your hands. It was the Penguin Random House CEO who made the most quote-worthy comments, where he said, publishing is random. That's why we're called Random House. And, you could just hear the like industry-wide groans because it's true. Right? Exactly. It's called Random House. That was the meaning of the name when they were established. Was because publishing is random. We don't know. From the publisher's perspective, they don't care or even know which author's books will sell well. Any book by any author will do. this is very different than our perspective as an author, right? As an author, it's really hard to write and publish this book. I would like it to sell. Thanks. I would like to do everything I can to ensure that this book does sell well. And because there are a plethora of authors to choose from now, publishers no longer put effort into helping authors with the writing process or the marketing strategies. Now, to be fair, publishers do publish. I had a New York Times bestselling author once tell me, she's like, publishers put ink on 2 pages. I was like, well, that's a little harsh. But I mean, the point was, that you no longer work with an acquisitions editor to like develop the concept of your book. Like they just want it delivered, give us a great book and then we'll consider printing it, binding it and sending it to bookstores. And now that there are so many authors who have these big followings and presences and influencers and whatever, all they have to do is pick someone who already has a following, publish a book, kick it out to market, and ta-da, they're done. I don't think this is going to last, but this is how it's happening right now. That means for the moment, right now, those of us who are really seeking to publish fantastic books, compelling books, great books, and make a living as an author, build our own readership so we can continue to publish books, it's really difficult to discern what's the best path forward. So how do you write a great book that leaves a lasting impression, publish a professional book you're proud to sell, and grow a readership that wants to continue reading the books that you continue to put out and make money as an author? If these questions are on your mind, I have some thoughts I would like to share with you. And ultimately, I think the question that I want to bring our attention and awareness around is it really possible to sell thousands of books, gather hundreds of reviews, and launch a long-term career as an author, even if I have no platform connections or experience? Because of course, what traditional publishers are telling us is you need a platform, you need connections, you need experience already in order to be successful. But it's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? How do I really set myself up on a good foundation to build my author career? So I'm going to do a super quick recap of who I am because you might just be finding me for the first time. I'm Morgan. And this is a picture of me many years ago when my husband and I lived in New York City. We had just one little one. That little one is now a teenager. So it's been a hot minute. And I was working as a book coach and book editor in our teeny tiny Brooklyn apartment. Nap times and after bedtime and on the weekends, I was growing this business and we had more kids and the business continued to grow. And when I realized that I wanted to take it to the next level and really bring in a team to work with me, bring in more clients to work with, I did what I was working with my clients to do. I wrote a book and it is straightforwardly called Start Writing Your Book Today. It's still available on Amazon. And that was really the beginning of my journey to growing what had become a publishing company, but I didn't know it back then, right? When I published that book, I had no platform, no connections, no experience myself. I was a writing coach. I knew how to write a book. And then we shipped it off to a publisher and they took care of the rest. I didn't know anything about publishing a book or marketing a book. And that was very clear because even when I went back to take screenshots of my social media that I was doing at the time, you can see that video over there. My hair is like super short, cropped, red. So this was a while ago. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just following the advice that I'm sure you guys have had people give to you also. You need to do video, you need to write blogs, you need to post on social media. I was getting zero reach. And finally, I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to publish this book and figure it out as I go. I have figured it out as I've gone along. I can hardly even take screenshots anymore of my own reviews because every time I turn around, there are more reviews on the book, which is a great problem to have. It's north of 1,700 reviews at this point, and new reviews come in every week. It's ranked highly. It sells automatically. I've sold over 15,000 units just from Amazon's KDP. I also sell from my own website. I've sold about 1,500 books just from my website directly. And so many of my clients came to me and said, okay, well, after we write my book, because I was writing coach, book editor, can you help me to publish too? And so I took on a handful of clients. I said, if you don't mind being my guinea pigs, I'd love to help you. And, just a few clients that year in 2015. And now year over year, we've continued to grow, develop best practices, really see what works in especially for newer authors who don't have a platform. How do we do this together? So now at Paper Raven Books, we help authors to write, publish, launch, market their books successfully. You've probably seen our website, paperravenbooks.com, and we work with authors, right? And so we help people to write. You've seen, how we help people to get 1,000 words, 2,000 words in writing sessions. Even just here today in our Zoom chat here, we've got folks who are just in this week getting 1,000, 2,000 words in a writing session. And we've published a lot of books now. I think we're up to 185 books. And these are our authors' videos. You've probably seen me interview our authors as their books are coming out and helping to promote their newly launched books. We have a whole team now of editors and designers and marketers and project managers. And so the question is, well, how do you do that? Like, what is this process that you walk people through? And really, when I reflect on it, it kind of comes back to 5 mistakes that I learned the hard way that now we have built systems and best practices around to make sure that we're not making those mistakes. And in fact, we're getting really great results. So these are what I want to share with you in our time together today that I firmly believe you'll need to know before you publish your first or your next book. And mistake number 1 is that a book is not a business model. So launching one single book is not the ticket to, $1 million a year business. We either need a back end or a backlist to make real money with books. And so this is hearkening back to what we talked about in the first session together, the book idea decision matrix. What is the intention of our book? And we talked about even then, is this going to be the first book of a series or the first book in a genre that I want to continue writing in? Do I want to create a backlist? Or am I building a business off of this book? Am I bringing in clients? Am I going to host workshops? Am I going to host retreats? Am I going to have a course or a membership? Typically speaking, we see that nonfiction has the back end. Nonfiction brings in folks to work with as clients or customers, or they do speaking gigs or that kind of stuff. When we're talking about fiction, and of course, NaNoWriMo is typically, we're writing fiction novels. We really want to be thinking about, okay, what might my backlist look like? If I'm going to build this body of work, what is my body of work going to look like that I can, when I attract one reader, that one reader might buy my whole series or my whole backlist or my whole body of work. So some examples here. ML Dunker, YA fantasy author, she published 5 books in 1 year. So she went ahead and released a series that is for young adults. Phil Asmunsen also did 3 books in a year. He got 123 reviews on a brand new series that he's now able to build his own readership for the other books that he has coming down the pipeline. Seven Borup, also YA fantasy, 3 books in a year, 103 reviews in a brand new series. What I love about Seven is she was actually a teenager when she first started working with us. And she said, look, I either want to go get my MFA or I just want to start publishing books. And, we talked about it with her and her family. And it was like, maybe we're going to end up doing both, but actually, can we start with publishing these books because we're going to learn so much in the process of publishing. And she's already got, her author career kickstarted. Jubilee Libsey's inspirational fiction. So she writes for the Christian market. She published 3 books in a year and 142 reviews, again, on a brand new series. And so this provides the social proof to readers that, yes, this is a great series to dive into. And again, they buy 1 book, and it's very likely they're actually going to buy 3 books and continue to follow Jubilee's career. We talked in yesterday's session with Christine Roberts, who's Adventure Romance, and she wrote and published 4 books in a year, and she's got another 3 books coming out this year. So again, think about developing that backlist, that body of work. Maybe you're like, I don't want to do it in 1 year. Morgan, I need more than 1 year. Very fair. We're all going to continue to publish. It's not a race, right? There is power in releasing them quickly. And I wanted to show you Tracy Borgmeyer. She writes middle grade chapter books, and she published 5 books over several years. And because she was able to pull readers, from one book launch into the next year's book launch, she's been able to gather 360 reviews and a devoted fan base who keeps supporting her in each of her book launches. So there is a slow burn, playbook as well. So keys to success as an author. This is something that might be difficult to really hear, but I want to encourage you to think about this in the most realistic and optimistic way possible. A book is a low-priced, low-profit margin product. It just is. It's a $20 product, and it's going to cost $5 to print. You're going to pay $5 to $10 to the retailer, and you're going to get $5 on a sale of the book. And if we leave it there, it sounds pretty pessimistic. I want us to take it the next logical step, which is, if I continue to grow my readership, yes, every new reader can buy one of my books. And if I have a backlist, every single new reader buys not just one book, but potentially the whole series of books. So I just want to offer that reframe. And I think that part of the reason why we tend to only think about one book is because how we've been conditioned by traditional publishers, because traditional publishers, they want to take one book out, test it against the market. If it doesn't sell well, they might not publish the next book in this series. They might move on to the next author. But for us, we are thinking about a totally different set of parameters. We're not thinking, I'm going to take out one book, test it, and see if it sells. We're thinking, I'm creating an entire world, an entire series here. And I know that it's going to be a build to get to the sort of tipping point that I need for the number of readers on my books, the number of reviews on my books, the word of mouth on my books. But again, we care about that much more deeply than a publisher who's just, throwing spaghetti against the refrigerator or wall, whatever you do. I actually throw it against the refrigerator. I don't throw it against the wall. It would leave marks on the wall. Mistake number 2, a great story is not necessarily a best-selling book. And I wish that I could say otherwise, but it's true. We all have seen it, right? There are best-selling books that are not great stories. And there are great stories that are not best-selling books. Really, ideally, we need both a great story and a big enough group of readers who are interested in a book like yours to really sell a meaningful number of copies. This is a quote that from someone, I'm in his mastermind, the Driven Mastermind with Perry Belcher. And he said this quote on one of our group calls, and it just really stuck with me. He said, are you selling them what you want to sell them, or are you selling them what they want to buy? And so the idea here is there's a group of, as a business owner, there are things you want to sell. But remember, when you're talking to actual people, there are only some things that they want to buy. They don't want to buy everything, right? There are certain things that they're interested in buying. You have to find that overlap of what you want to sell and what they want to buy. The corollary for writers is, are you writing what you want to write, or are you writing what they want to read? And of course, what we want to do for fulfillment for everybody is there's stuff you want to write about, right? There's stuff you don't want to write about, but there's stuff you want to write about. And there are things that they want to read. And we just need to find where that overlaps in order to actually sell copies to a viable market, get those early readers, those reviews, and get the traction going for our author career. So key to success as an author, a book guides the reader through a story that gives the reader an experience they were looking for when they decided they wanted to read a new book. So every scene in the book is oriented toward, yes, what you want to write, and also what the reader's looking to experience by picking up your book. We started to touch on this yesterday with Christine Roberts, when we sort of said, look, when people pick up an episodic book, they want to know that it's a safe read. They know the protagonist, they know the world, they know the kind of adventure we're going to go on. When I, watch the Indiana Jones movies, I know what that experience is going to be like, or the Friends episode or whatever, they're episodic. So it's safe to jump into this book because I know what the next 4 hours worth of reading are more or less going to feel like as a reader. That's what I'm looking for. And when you're writing an episodic series, you're matching that, right? You're delivering what you want your reader wants. When you're doing more of a serialized series, is what we talked about yesterday, with the big arc where each book, the protagonist is transforming in some meaningful way, that's a totally different reader experience that they want, right? They want that depth of emotion and all the backstory and all the will they, won't they, or the will he survive? Will he not survive? They want that whole emotionally draining experience of the book, like the Harry Potter books, like these really long series where you feel like you know the character intimately. Those are very different experiences. Just know that your reader is looking for something when they come to your book. And so you want to find that overlap. It's a great story and it's what people are looking for. This goes for genre as well. Some people will only search for romance kind of books or financial thriller kind of books or murder mystery kind of books. And so we want to think about that reader experience and what the market wants. Mistake number 3, of course, we want there to be 100% overlap. That'd be great. Even then, there are things that I don't want to write about. And there are things that individuals don't want to read about. There's always going to be, I guess, if it were a true match, you would write everything they want to read about. Unlikely. And not necessary, right? Not necessary, because you want more than one reader. You want a lot of readers. So that's part of determining the marketability. Mistake number 3, book sales does not equal long-term author success. It's one thing to make a quick buck selling ebooks on Amazon. It's another thing to gather a readership that loves your books, leaves reviews, and continues supporting your work over years to come. So I'm sure if you guys have sort of like seen all the ads on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, there are people who are like, make money selling ebooks on Amazon, use AI to write ebooks and make money. You know what? That lasts like a month. You use the Amazon algorithm, the keywords, the categories, all the fancy stuff, and you hit a book to the market and it makes a quick buck, and then people don't come back and leave reviews and it dies. Right? That's not what we're looking to do here. We are looking for long-term author success, which means we need to help our readers become fans, become followers of our work, so that year over year, they continue to come back for more books. So let's think about this customer journey. And I wanted to give you a visual for this because it's kind of an abstract idea. There's a browser who comes to Amazon to search for a new book. They find a book, so they're looking at the book on Amazon. Perhaps they buy it. That's great. Yes, we want them to buy the book. They open the book, and now they're a reader. Ideally, they are reading your book. And the question is, well, is that it? Maybe they leave a review on their own. Maybe they don't. Is that all we wanted from this relationship with this person who's reading our book? I would suggest that there is a way to get folks to become your super fan, your follower, your subscriber. We just need a path to help them do that. Here is the mechanism. We're going to offer a link to a freebie, and that freebie exists on a landing page. I'm going to show you what this looks like. And we ask them to provide their email address so they can sign up for our email list, and now they can become a follower. So what does this actually look like, this link to a freebie and this freebie landing page? So first, what is it? It could be a preview of your next book. It could be an alternate ending. It could be a deleted scene, backstories, related short stories, historical research notes, world building research notes. Like I think Jubilee did scripture references and Bible study sort of thing that would go with the book, right? So any complementary type of content that's not already in this book that they just read, but they're at the end of the book and they want more. What can we give them? So when Phil did this, this is his book. This is a screenshot of me reading it in my Kindle Cloud reader. And so this is what the book looks like. You're flipping through, you're reading, if you were on a Kindle, it would only show one page at a time, but you get the idea. And then you get to the end of his book and it says, do you want a free sneak peek of the next book? Click this link and I'll send you an excerpt of what's going to happen next. You go to his website and ask to put in the name and the email. Now you're on his email list. And the best part is once they're a subscriber, you can follow up again via email and ask for a review. In fact, I suggest there's like a 3 email sequence that I suggest to get reviews on autopilot. Email number 1, we deliver the free thing. We deliver the sneak peek, the exclusive preview, the deleted scene, the backstory, the historical world building notes. We deliver the thing that we said we would deliver. About a week later, we ask them for a review. And about 3 weeks after that, we say, hey, if you didn't get a chance to leave a review, could you please leave a review? This is how I get reviews on my book. This is why reviews keep coming in. It's not magic. It's because I get people onto my email list and then I ask them to leave a review. So you can actually go to Amazon. You can see where you can get on my email list. And then I follow up and I ask for a review. So even if a reader likes your book without a specific call to action, they will likely not join your email list or become a follower. Right? So we need an easy and enticing call to action inside every single book so you can consistently grow your readership. Otherwise, we're just hoping that someone read our book and then decides to go Google us and find us. When we put it inside the book itself, we make it easy and enticing to come join our email list so that every time someone reads any of our books, that is growing our readership and also reminding people to come back and leave a review. Mistake number 4 is a book sales page does not always equal book sales. So throwing the book up on Amazon KDP is not the same thing as selling a book. We need to optimize the sales page before we send any traffic to that sales page. So this is when I'm talking about a sales page. This is what I'm talking about. You go to Amazon, you're looking at a book, and it has actually quite a few components for us to think about on this sales page. So first you've got the cover itself, and then you've got the main title and the subtitle, maybe even the series title. You've got the number of reviews on the book is going to matter for your social proof. Your author name, number 6 there, your author name matters. 7, 8, and 9, your pricing, whether the book is in Kindle Unlimited or KDP Select, what that pricing looks like. It's very strategic the way that Amazon does these things, right? It's got the print list price there at $13.99, and then the Kindle price right under it in big, font, $6.99. And it says save $7, when you buy the Kindle version. So all these things are really, there's a lot of consumer psychology baked into these pages. Some of it Amazon brings automatically. Some of it we want to think about too. Number 10, of course, the description. Number 11, your Amazon Author Central, your photo and the bio that are listed there. And then number 12, your sample or your look inside. What are all of these pieces and how do we make sure that they are optimized so that when someone lands here, they are likely to buy the book? Once we have a great sales page, now we can start talking about other traffic that you can send to the sales page. So of course there's Amazon's organic traffic. And if you guys have been around me, I talk about keywords and categories and all the fun things, which we'll get into, but also all the other things that people tend to talk about with your social media presence and your website and your email list. Well, where are you sending them? You're sending them to Amazon to buy the book, right? If you go on podcasts or YouTube, or someone reviews your book, where are they going to send that traffic? They're going to send people to Amazon to check out your book. If you write articles in a publication and you have an author bio that says author of, where's that going to link? It's going to link to your Amazon page. Any book reviews or awards that your book wins, where are they going to send people to check out your book? They're going to send them to Amazon, right? If you go to live events, even if you do paid advertising, people are going to go to Amazon to see, what does this book look like? Does it look professional? Does it have reviews? They're going to go check out your Amazon sales page. Every single time you talk about your book or someone else talks about your book, pretty much everyone is going to go to Amazon to check out that sales page. So before we do any promotion, we got to have that sales page dialed in. So readers who are even considering buying your book, even if they hear about it at a book club or at a live event or from a friend, they are very likely going to look at your Amazon sales page before they buy. So we got to optimize that sales page before we do any promotional efforts. And promotional efforts we shall do, right? Mistake number 5 is that a publication date does not equal a book launch. To get the results we want from a book launch, we need to stack what I would call lead activities that have a high likelihood of giving us the results we want. These concepts actually come from a business book called The 4 Disciplines of Execution, written by Steve Covey's son and a couple of co-authors. And they were looking at what makes a business successful, essentially. And the businesses who are successful, they aren't just looking for the big results, like the revenue numbers. They are measuring what's called the lead activities, the small activities that end up making a big difference in the results. So we can take that same concept and put it in the author world. Our lead indicators are book launch team, strategic social media, optimizing visibility on Amazon, like we talked about, paid promotion, and influencers. Yes, Isaiah, good point. Isaiah just mentioned in the comment, I do try to buy from indie publishers or Barnes and Noble or Nook and not rely so much on Amazon. I totally agree with that. And you know what I've seen people do, even in bookstores, is they're looking at books and they still pull up Amazon or Goodreads, and Goodreads is owned by Amazon. They still pull it up to read reviews. Even if they are about to buy it from an indie bookstore, we still use Amazon for the social proof. That's why it has to be optimized, right? And so it's a great point, So when we're approaching a book launch, what are the things that we know we have some control over? We can pull together a book launch team. We can grow a following on social media and post on social media. We can optimize, those 12 factors on an Amazon sales page that will help people to convert to a buyer. We can run some paid promotion if we want. There are lists of readers that we can pay $15 to get in front of this list of readers. There are influencers in our space who might be willing to blurb our book or share our book with their readers. And then there are the results. So this is how I think about results for a book launch. We do a book launch that has a 5-day window where we are pushing everything we've got into these 5 days. And every single day, we're looking at those lag indicators. We're looking at downloads or sales, #1 rankings, and the number of reviews that are coming in. So for our purposes, the marketing actions are our lead indicators and our launch results are the lag indicators. And so when we are talking with authors about, okay, how are we going to make this book successful? We're not just focusing on, well, we need this number of downloads. We're saying, how many people are on our book launch team? What are our numbers on social media? What keywords and categories are we using on Amazon? What's our subtitle? What's our description? How is that, how do we think that's going to convert? How many lists of readers are we paying to get in front of? Do we have any influencers that we can reach out to? So those are all the things that we're focusing all of our efforts on, knowing that when those things come together and everything's, pushed into a 5-day window, that's where we can get those lag results that we want to celebrate. just to give you, so, some examples what this ends up looking like. This is inside of our base camp where we work with authors one-on-one, and we post about the lag indicators, right? We post about the results. This was Sabine just in the last month. You're currently number 1 in 2 categories, financial thrillers and horror comedy, and then numbers 2, 4, and 5 in related categories. And then a couple days later, she's got up to 1,895 downloads on this book that we are pushing during this 5-day window. And what was interesting is while we were pushing, because we're actually launching book number 3 is what we were focused on, there was an interesting additional lag indicator. Sabine came back and said, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the first book in the series is on the bestseller list right now. That was, that's something that we see, but we don't always pay attention to. And so it called to mind for us, there are additional lag indicators that we don't even see because we're focused on these 5 days, right? So this was a note in our internal messaging app where Rachel said, Sabine just told me that while we were all watching book number 3, book number 1 snuck onto number 43, paid financial thrillers, 2 spots ahead of a Grisham novel, right? So this is the power of having a backlist, is that every time you're launching a new book, your backlist, your book 1, your book 2, even if they're not part of a series, your previous books are going to get additional traction. Totally different authors, but this was just wins that we share internally, just to give you some ideas of what we end up seeing from these kinds of results. Alex Kroll has a total of 21 different number 1 categories across the English and Spanish marketplaces. He had an English version and a Spanish version. Nate Wagner has a number 1 top new release banner in teen and young adult exploration and discovery historical fiction. And he hasn't even launched his book. This was just, we put everything live on Amazon. But the reason he had traction is because he already had readers from book number 1. And he posted on his social media that book number 2 was almost ready to come out, and people started searching for it. He doesn't have a huge list. It's under 1,000 folks on a list, but enough people realized, oh my gosh, Nate's coming out with his next book. I'm going to search for it. They found it. They bought it. It's enough to pop to number 1 even before launch. Heather Kimmel has a number 1 new release banner on her paperback. She reached number 1 in a paid category during her launch week. So while we were pushing a bunch of traffic toward her ebook, her paperback was also getting massive traction. So again, these are just, I wanted to share with you what's possible, when you come across this idea of launching a book. You're wondering, well, what can I even expect? Not to say that you should expect these things right off the bat without some, guidance, but this is what's possible for totally independent authors, right? So Brenda Smith launched yesterday, already has 7 number 1s, already sold 25 paperback books in addition to all the Kindle downloads that we were pushing, and 12 5-star reviews on day 2 of her launch. So a lead measure is what you can control, and all the actions that you take before your book launches. A lag measure is the results that come from all your lead up actions combined. So just something to reframe for you as you're approaching kind of launching that first book, is you want to strategically stack up lead activities prior to a launch. So what happens when you have this backlist or this body of work, this whole accumulation of books to sell, and when you write books that your reader wants to buy? And you plan a customer journey from reader to follower and reviewer, and you optimize the most widely viewed sales page of the book, and you create a launch event stacked with lead activities. That is how a first-time author can sell thousands of copies, turn readers into followers, and build a true author business and brand off the back of one book. As Stephen Covey famously said, begin with the end in mind, right? So this is the end that I want to give you so that you can start to lean into that, to start to prepare for how your life as an author might look. This is how I get reviews on my book every week. Actually, I'm sure if you Googled it right now, there's more reviews than that because they just keep coming in. This is how my book remains highly ranked and selling automatically. This is how I've sold all these 15,000 books from Amazon, but also on my own website. And, all of our clients that come to Paper Raven and say, help me to publish and launch and market our books. This is, what you've seen in these sessions with me so far, and what I'm sharing with you today. This is how we do it. This is how we publish and launch and market all of these books with these authors. And maybe you still have questions. I've probably raised more questions than I have answered. Everything from, wait a sec, he said something about Amazon keywords and categories, to how would I even build an author website like that? What does the email mechanism look like? How do I narrative arcs? Can we go back to narrative arcs and talk about this series that I think I'm putting together? I've probably raised more questions than I have answered. Right now, you do have a couple of options. So I hope that everything that we are covering in this session, the sessions we've already had, the sessions we've got coming up, I hope that I'm able to give you a lot of very practical, pragmatic, tangible, concrete information that you can implement on your own. That is truly my hope for every single one of you who are hearing my voice and watching me right now, is that you've gotten something incredibly valuable that you had not heard somewhere else. That's my goal. And option number 2, if you would like to talk about working directly with me and my team of book publishing professionals to write, publish, and market your book, there is an opportunity for that. And we're going to go just a little bit over on time so that I can talk about that. But I also have something special for those of you who are on with me right now. And if you do want to join me in this next opportunity, it will be worth your while to hang out for just a few minutes. So this is Paper Raven Books book coaching and mentorship program. So you write, publish, and launch your book guided by our comprehensive trainings and working directly with our team on some key elements in the book writing, publishing, and marketing process. So this is if I had to put into sort of a timeline everything that we do together in this program, it would start with the manuscript, writing and revising the manuscript, because nothing else matters until we have a manuscript that we are proud to publish and we believe is going to be a foundation for your long-term author career. So we developed the narrative arc, just like we've been talking about, and that includes, one-on-one call with one of our senior book coaches to talk through your narrative arc. We have live co-writing sessions pretty much every day of the week, weekdays. We have live critique workshops where authors can submit scenes or chapters or sections of the books and get real-time feedback from authors who are maybe writing a book like yours. Maybe they're writing a little bit of a different book and have some different suggestions. Also, feedback from our senior book coaching team. You get a one-on-one writing check-in call. So when you hit, 20,000 words in your manuscript, hold on, let's circle back. Let's see, how's the writing coming along? Is it matching with that narrative arc? Are there any patterns or tendencies you should be aware of as you continue writing? We're also doing a full manuscript review. So when you finish that first draft, let's go through the whole draft together and see, what does our narrative arc actually look like? Are there any plot holes? Are there any inconsistencies? Is there a backstory that needs to be filled in? Let's look at the whole thing together. We are helping you one-on-one to decide your title, your subtitle, your description, right? And you get live Q&A calls with editorial, with our senior book coaches every single week to get your most pressing questions answered as you're writing the book. We're organizing and sketching that first draft in the co-writing groups and the critique sessions and the check-in call with your coach. We're revising and editing the draft with that full manuscript review. We're finalizing the manuscript together, looking at the title, the subtitle, the description, and the manuscript itself. Is it ready to go into production, is what we would say. Do we have all those bits and pieces ready to go? And answering every single question you've got along the way. Then it's ready to become a book. right? A book that is for sale. So in this designing and publication phase, we need to gather up all of our publication information, our ISBNs, our publishing accounts, questions around the copyright process. What are all of the more legal bits? Do I need an LLC? Can I publish under my own name? What about a pen name, right? So those are all publication questions. This is also where we want to talk about your keywords and your categories. We will help you to identify the 7 keywords and the 3 categories that we recommend your book has to optimize visibility on the Amazon bookstore. Design, the cover, the interior. Our team is doing this with you. One-on-one, we are going out to a group of designers. We are gathering some suggested design concepts. You're picking what you like the best, but we're helping to make sure it's staying within what we would recommend for best practices for cover design, for a really compelling cover, and then bringing that into a custom interior. So whatever we decide on the exterior, we want to bring some of those stylistic elements interior and do a custom design for your book. And we want to finalize those files, which we do all day, every day. This is one of the hardest parts of doing it yourself the first time, is getting those files just right. We do it all day, every day. We're happy just to handle that. We will format the files. We will upload everything in your account. Before we upload into your account, though, the order of operations does matter. So we actually want to make sure before we hit publish, we've got our plan in place. So we'll be doing some things with you, like building your website and setting up your email list. Our marketing team is going to come in. We're going to design your website. If you already have one, we will redesign, we'll help to redesign, optimize your website. We'll set up your freebie and your email list. If you saw me talking about that and you're like, Morgan, I have no clue. Don't worry, done for you. If you already have an email list, we're going to help to put in some of those autoresponders and set up that new freebie for your book. Set up your launch team and your social media. You might be wondering, well, how would I get on TikTok or Instagram, or how would I post on these platforms to start to find my following there? We're going to help you do that. We're going to help you by creating a one-on-one marketing action plan. We call it a book marketing roadmap. It's a 65-page document where we are helping to identify exactly where we believe you're going to find readers most easily for your book. Optimize visibility on Amazon. That's what our team does, again, all day, every day. Keywords, categories, promotions on Amazon. We got that dialed in. We're going to help you just plug and play our strategies for your book and actually set up your launch promotion. We have super specific things that we do for that 5 days, and we're just going to do them. We're going to do them for you. Make sure that it pops onto the Amazon bookstore the way that we like it to. And you're getting those weekly calls with our marketing team. So you get your questions answered as you're going, before your book publishes and after your book is published. You're going to be able to continue coming to those marketing questions. So once everything's all set up, okay, now we pop over to the book. We actually publish, we upload everything, we set our promotions up, we have our launch date, and it's all systems go. And throughout this process, you're having the live Q&A with our production team. So what this actually means is, in addition to the writing sessions, in addition to the one-on-one, meetings that we're going to have for all these different deliverables, you also just have us at the ready. Every Tuesday is with production, every Wednesday is with marketing, every Thursday is with editorial. If you have a question, there's someone to pop on and ask that question to whenever it happens. And then long-term book marketing, we have all sorts of support for long-term book marketing. So you can, in this one program, in book coaching and mentorship, what we're going to do is we're going to organize, write, and revise your book so that you're confident that it's ready to be published. This alone would be a $10,000 value. Designing and publishing the book, you're working with our professional team to bring your vision for your book into reality. Designed, published, distributed globally, all the Amazon marketplaces, ebook, paperback, hardback, and we can load it up into Ingram Spark if you want to go for bookstores as well. That's no problem. And that would be a $10,000 value, easy. The plan, so that you can actually develop your author brand, your action plan to find your book readership. Again, easy, another $10,000 value. all three phases together, guided by yes, we have a whole host library of trainings and frameworks. And you can see from all the one-on-ones that we'll be plugging in for all these important pieces in your book journey, value is easily $30,000. Plus some bonuses. I told you it's gonna be worth it to stick around. Bonuses for you guys: the Get Paid to Publish workshop, how to quickly cultivate a raving fan base of thousands of followers so you have the social proof publishers are looking for in a book to fund. Whether you have 100 followers or 10,000 followers, know exactly what your best moves are for quickly growing and monetizing your platform for your book. So these strategies are exactly the same for the folks who are going for a traditional publisher and the folks who want to sell more of their own books. The strategies are the same. We need to turn 0 followers into 100 followers. We need to turn 100 followers into 1,000 followers and 1,000 followers into 10,000 followers. We need to be strategic about the platform. We need to be strategic about the posting. And this is all, that's exactly what this training is for, is to show you step by step how we grow a following like this. Value is $5,000 easy today for you, totally free. Bonus number 2, your market opportunities roadmap. While everyone else is throwing spaghetti at the wall and praying for sales, you'll have a full-on roadmap that identifies the biggest opportunities in your market and our team's specific insights on how to best capitalize on those pockets of gold, all tailored for your book, your audience, your author business. So this is that gigantic PDF report that I just mentioned, where we are actually going to go in and we are going to specifically identify people to follow on a specific platform, influencers that you want to start to be connected with, book awards that are specific for you, opportunities for endorsements or blurbs, keywords, categories, comparable titles. What does the overall landscape look like for your book in your genre, in your market? And so we're going to bring our marketing team in to create your opportunities roadmap. $3,500 value, easy, free for you today. And bonus number 3 is the best-selling series Fast Track, how to write, publish, and launch a series so that you can make your debut or establish yourself as a known author in your genre while growing a readership, selling more books, and getting more reviews on all of your books. So this is the deep dive into a series specifically, not just one narrative arc, but a series of narrative arcs that are going to bring people who loved one book into the next book, into the next, into the next. And how do you coordinate those series and their launches and the marketing efforts that are going to go with those launches? So value $7,500 for you today, free. So you're probably wondering, what's this going to cost? And I want you to consider this. If you go to our website, we don't hide this. Working with our team in a one-on-one capacity where we are helping you to develop the book content, edit, developmental edit, copy edit, proofread, professionally publish, and like build your platform for you. When someone works with us in this in-depth concierge, done for you publishing services, it's not cheap, right? It's 10 grand to 40 grand. And I'm just so you know, this is the internet. I'm not making it up. This is my checkout processor. People pay us tens of thousands of dollars on a regular basis because they're engaged with us in this done for you concierge level services. And these are all the books that we have done, right? But people come to me and they say, well, Morgan, what if you could show me the whole process and I could do some of the pieces, right? And you could plug in and do some of the pieces. So it's more of a partnership, more of a mentorship. And the benefit of this is that we can actually tap into an economies of scale, right? Because we're actually already doing these other concierge level one-on-one books. Is it that difficult for our designer to pop over and do a cover and an interior for you? No. We're already editing and coaching all of these other folks. Is it that difficult to have a one-on-one session with one of our book coaches? No, right? Because there's an economies of scale happening. We have a big team, right? We can do things now in a way that we couldn't when we were much smaller. So this full book coaching and mentorship program with me and my team is not anywhere close to $40,000. It's not even close to $30,000. It's not $20,000. Instead, you get access to everything that I've talked about today for one payment of $9,500 or 11 payments of $950. And you might be wondering, well, why would you do this? Why would you even want this kind of, program where you're mentoring us and coaching us and doing a lot of these pieces for us? And the reason is I want you to be my next most successful case study. This is a true win-win. When I can go out to new writers and new authors and say, hey, you wouldn't believe what Susan Elizabeth's book did, or what Sharon's book looked like. Look at where they are now. They started out just like you. That's very powerful for my ability to be able to encourage and inspire new writers. Some of them might become clients, right? So that's the win-win. And for you, you get to use our team. It already has all these baked in best practices and methodologies and team members to give your book the highest possibility of success, and therefore become a great case study, right? That is a true win-win. You might be wondering, is there a catch? We are asking everyone to apply to make sure that we are a good fit. So I do ask that you fill out an application and you hop on the phone with us, because we need to just gut check, are we a good fit? The way you do that is super simple. You go to paperravenbooks.com/go, paperravenbooks.com/go. I've got one more thing that I want to share with you, but just so that you can see what it looks like. When you go to paperravenbooks.com/go, you'll see there that I'm asking for a deposit. It's 100% refundable application deposit. And you can put in your name, email, phone number here. It'll go through that process. If we decide to work together, great. The $100 just credits towards your tuition. If you decide not to go forward, or we decide we're not a good fit, we'll just refund it right away. So you fill that out. It will take you to the application questions, which are, where are you in the process of completing your book? And what's the best way to describe your book? Probably for many of us, it's going to be kind of fiction or memoir. And when it comes to finishing, what's your challenge? We need to make sure that whatever you've been frustrated with, that we're able to provide that solution, to be that coach, mentor, guide that you really need, whatever it is for you. How long have you been working on and finishing and publishing this book? Has it been, 6 months, 6 years, 6 days? We need to know. What have you already tried? Have you already published a book? Have you already worked with a book editor before? Have you already invested in Scrivener? Whatever it is. And why now? Why is this important to you? Can you articulate what it is that you hope the book makes possible for you? Just putting in some examples. And do you have the financial resources? We just need to know, are we in the same ballpark for what we expect to invest in this book? So that's a yes or no. Spoiler alert, if you say no, then we're just going to refund you. But if you say yes, then, we'll get on the phone and we'll chat. And when you say yes, it will take you straight to the calendar. And just so you know, I have actually opened up my Friday. So we have other team members who also take calls. But if you want to talk to me specifically, then I've got today on open for my calendar. So all of these slots for today are my calendar. But you'll see when it opens up, you can click through and see, days and times that might work for you. Select a day and a time, and that will help you to schedule so that we can chat about you and your book. And I see questions coming in already. I'm almost there to questions. For folks who are here with me, you're hearing my voice, you're seeing me right now. If you apply and are accepted in this next week, we are going to have a one-on-one strategy session, just you and me. And we're going to talk about the best ways for your book to exponentially explode your author platform and brand. So I'm going to be able to talk to you, and I'll need our marketing team's insights first. So there's a little bit of an order of operations here, but we'll get your book concept. We'll do some initial marketing research, and you and I will be on the phone and we'll be saying, okay, here's what we're thinking about for the book. Here's what we're already seeing as possibilities for the market. And here's, tell me a little bit about your story, your situation, your ambitions, and let's find the best strategy for you. So if you want my, eyeballs and thoughts and mind on your book and your author career, easiest thing to do is go ahead and apply right now while we're here, while we're talking, and then we'll talk. And then if we both said, yes, this is a go, perfect. Then we'll get our one-on-one time. So paperravenbooks.com/go, and all together, right? This is what we're talking about here is Paper Raven's book coaching and mentorship program, our team of professionals by your side for a full year. I actually didn't mention this earlier. This is a whole year program. So 12 full months. It typically doesn't take that long. So if you're thinking about writing more than one book, then perfect. We can get the first book done in a relatively, streamlined kind of way. And then you're still in our mentorship program with us for that year. Now, if you needed us to do an additional cover or something like that, that would be additional separate. But a full year, you can get a lot of writing done in a year. You can get your first book kicked out the door, available for sale with a plan for the whole series, which is really powerful. Bonus number 1, get paid to publish workshop, all the things about growing your platform, getting from 0 followers to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000 and beyond. $5,000 value. Bonus number 2, your personalized market opportunities roadmap. That's our team coming in and sorting and sifting and figuring out exactly where we believe it will be easiest to get your book in front of your right readers who are eagerly looking for your book. $3,500 value. Bonus number 3, best-selling series fast track, $7,500 value. If you're looking to do a series, whether it's a true series or whether it's more using the same characters or the same world, we're going to talk through exactly how you write that and the order of operations for publishing and marketing those books as well. And for you guys who are here and you are applying right now, that fast action bonus, if you're accepted into the program, you're going to get that strategy call with me. Total value, well over $30,000, all for one payment of $9,500. Just go to paperravenbooks.com/go. And I see some, we already got folks popping in. Awesome. I have some questions that I want to go through really quickly. And if you want y'all figured this out, you can send them directly to me if you want. Just select that they go to me, or you can just pop them in the chat. That works as well. Let me come back through here. Good. Yep. Okay, Sharon says, yep, my manuscript drafts are almost complete. I have fiction, I have a memoir, I have a nonfiction. So perfect. If you have sort of a unique situation, then truly the best thing to do is to go ahead and apply and hop on the phone with us so that we can figure out exactly what's going to suit your needs the best. So for instance, if you're here, and I think, yeah, it was Rick said, well, I'm already, we're already doing dev editing. We've already got the manuscript side covered. What if it's just the publishing and marketing? Well, we can make something that fits you as well. So if we need to preclude the manuscript part, we can, but that's a decision that we really need to be making together. For most of us, we are probably looking at focusing on one book, the first book in a series, the very next book in a series. And when we are able to put all of these pieces together, we're, doing the cover design, the interior design, the website, the email list, a lot of these pieces, as you see them coming together, you're going to have a much better understanding of how would you do this on your own in the future. And some of the pieces you don't need to repeat. Once we set up your website, once we set up your email list, you can continue to use them, but you don't need to set them up again. They're already set up, right? So a lot of this becomes sort of rinse and repeat for each subsequent book. So let's set the foundations together. Let's do your cover design and your interior design and your website and your email list and your social media and all that together. And then as you go out and you do the subsequent books, you might still be in our container. So yes, we can still coach and mentor you through subsequent books as well. But you'll have all of the wherewithal, the knowledge, the understanding of how these pieces fit together so that you can keep doing them on your own. That's really the intention and why we think of it as a coaching and mentorship program. Is we're not just doing stuff for you. We're really helping you to see how all the pieces fit together so that you are empowered as an author, that even when you sort of graduate, I suppose, from this program, you have a fuller understanding of what it's going to mean to be an author who continues to publish books, grow your readership, gather reviews, and prepare for your next book launches. So that's the idea. If this sounds like exactly what you've been looking for, paperravenbooks.com/go, 100% refundable deposit, fill out the application, grab a slot on our calendar, and we'd be happy to talk to you about your specific situation. Yep. Lynn, what costs outside of the $9,500 would an author end up spending in the program? The ISBN, we would suggest that if you want an ISBN, you would be purchasing the ISBN, because we would recommend that is published in your name, not a publisher's name. They're not super expensive. I think you can get a 10-pack for $300, something like that. And they're not technically required. It depends on your strategy. So if you want to just publish on Amazon and just sell the book through Amazon or your own website, you actually don't need an ISBN. If you want to sell through a bookstore, a library, or a brick and mortar retail location, you need an ISBN, because that's going to fill out the barcode, and it hooks into that inventory system when they're selling the book at that point of sale. So many of our authors do get ISBNs. We set them up at Ingram Spark. They sell through bookstores. It's not technically required, although many people do get an ISBN. That's the main sort of outside cost that I would want you to expect. We also are not doing, for instance, line editing or copy editing in this program, because we wanted to do a flat fee. And we don't know how long your book is going to be. And you might already have an editor that you like. And we show you how to use really cool AI tools like Grammarly and Pro Writing Aid that can help you with a lot of the editorial work. And we're already advising you on the high level, the development of your book. So with the narrative arcs and with the one-on-one sessions with our book coach and with the critique workshops, we're handling a lot of the development, the content, the story structure, the characters in your book. And when you get down to sort of that line editing, copy editing, you can there are a lot of tools you can use. You might have some beta readers you can use. You might have your own editor that you can use. If you want to use our team, we'll give you VIP rates. We just don't know how long your book is going to be. So it made it really tricky to try to price this if we were trying to think about editing as well. So I do want to be really straightforward about that. Our team is not line editing your book in this program at this price point. We are high level coaching you through the narrative arc, the structure of your book. And if you would like our team to line edit, we'll do a special, add-on for you. If you would like to get a recommendation for an editor, we have editors to recommend. We actually partner with the Professional Book Editors Association. And so we could, point you toward a great editor who you could work with directly. Or if you have your own editor, that's fine too. So just wanted to be really straightforward. That is potentially an additional cost. We will do our best to, help with the development of the book and show you some really great AI tools that can help a lot with the copy editing and give you suggestions, for how you can get that handled. But I just want to be super clear that could potentially be an outside cost. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Sue, what do you recommend for website and email building platform? So the ones that we have found both easiest to use and most reliable in their functionality, I guess you could say, is Wix for website and MailerLite for email service provider. Now, technically, we can do WordPress or any other kind of website. We can do a lot of different email service providers or figure it out if we need to. So if you already have something else, you can let us know and we can work with you on it. If you're kind of coming to us blank slate, we have had really great sort of year over year, author over author success with using Wix for the website and MailerLite for the email service provider. And I think Wix hosting, we pay for the first year of hosting. I think it's something like $100 a year, maybe something like that. And MailerLite is free until you get a certain number of subscribers. I don't remember how many subscribers that is, but all of them do that, where the first whatever, several hundred or whatever thousand of subscribers are free, and then it kicks into paid. MailerLite does that too. Yeah, Casey says, I think developmental is probably the most important. Very annoying to find a lot of bad grammar, but I can forgive a lot if the story is good. But a messed up storyline that's hard to follow makes for a book that I may not finish or certainly won't follow up for more by the author. Exactly, Casey. We feel the same way. It's like if we're able to give input in the book as it's coming together, that editorial input, that book coaching input that we can give as the first draft is coming together usually results in a much better manuscript. Whereas we found if we say, hey, writer, go and write the first draft and bring it to us, and we'll just, we'll talk about all the editing then. There's so much to fix, to rewrite and redo and revise, that it's painful for everyone. It takes way longer. So that was, you hit it right on the head, Casey. That's a huge part of why we decided we wanted to do this coaching and mentorship program, is because when you can have these conversations, but way deeper, about narrative arcs and character development and plots and scene setting and transitions, and you can have that sort of deep dive when you're still in your first draft, with a book coach reviewing as you're writing, you're going to produce a much better manuscript that's much easier to edit and becomes a better book. So yeah, you hit it right on the head. Amazing. All right. Yes, I see applications coming in. If you do want to talk in the next week, I would recommend that go ahead and get on our calendar. My calendar is open for today. So if you sign up for a Friday slot, you're talking to me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you wanted my particular input, especially given our week together, I'd be happy to talk to you. Just go ahead and go to paperravenbooks.com/go, and $100 refundable deposit. If we move forward, it's credited towards your tuition. If we decide not to, then I just refund it right away. And fill out the application, grab a time on the calendar. And if we're going into next week, it could be there's a couple people in our team that you might end up talking to. And mostly we just want to make sure that we are a really good fit, right? So the type of book that you're writing, the long-term plans you have for your author career, what we're able to provide in this particular program, we want to make sure from the very beginning that we are a great fit. Awesome. Rick, great. Can't wait to talk to you, and we'll figure out your situation in particular. Yes, because I'm aware that we're already doing developmental. So then what's kind of next? Does the program start at a certain date? So we are taking a small cohort through. Not everyone moves at the same pace. So we're not super rigid about, okay, everyone, be on, finish chapter 1 this week. We don't run it quite like that, because everyone's creative process is a little bit different. So we still have some people who are finishing from a previous cohort, and then we're bringing in this cohort. So I would say if you are starting the writing process in the next couple of months, you want to go ahead and get in. There's some preliminary content that I would recommend around, like we have curriculum around what makes for a compelling book. We have some deep dive sessions with our book coaches where we're talking about character development, dialogue, scene setting, plot, like moving the plot from one location to another, which can be very tricky, especially in a novel. So we have some best practices, some deep dive discussions on the craft of writing that you could be going through at your own pace, even if you're not ready to write yet, that will set you up when you are ready to start writing quickly, start writing well. If you're ready to go, you're like, Morgan, I want to get in and I want to start talking to my book coach like next week. Okay, great. That's fine. We can also move faster if you want to move faster. So I know some folks are probably thinking, okay, well, I want to write, X number of books and I want this book out by X date. And so Morgan, I'm going to want to go fast. Totally fine. We're ready to go fast if you're ready to go fast. We want to get you in. We want to get you situated. We have, in fact, I should be able to show you. We have a whole community and curriculum kind of space where everything is all organized. So it's actually in the same area that you have seen our resources. So I'll show you what that looks like. It will look familiar, but there are areas that you are not able to see from the public perspective. So in the manuscript area, you can't see these yet until you are kind of deep in with us. But we have these whole sections on fiction curriculum, nonfiction curriculum, memoir curriculum, and into different subsections within those. We have our finishing the manuscript, all the things that we want to make sure are complete in the manuscript. If you are interested in, this is the admin view. So let me just try to view it from here. How you might use Scrivener, for instance. If you already love Scrivener, if you have not yet discovered Scrivener, it's really powerful for organizing in the way that we talk about with these narrative arcs. Your reverse outline, style guide, rubrics to help with the editing process. I mentioned that we use ProWriting and Grammarly for a lot of copy editing. Discussions around the subtitle and title, the description, your author bio, what are all those final finished pieces, as well as we have our writing group events all organized here so that you can pop in for all of those writing group events. Everything is recorded as well. If you need to ask it, the co-writing is not recorded, but the Q&As, you can submit a question ahead of time and catch the recording. A lot of folks like to be able to have that option. And since we know your book, we can usually answer the book pretty well, whether you're real time with us or whether you're catching the recording. And then there's a whole section on the book, publishing the book. We have, we want to, again, we don't want to just do it for you like there's a black box. We want to show you, here's all your considerations and how you would get an ISBN. Here's how we're looking at keywords and categories. Here's the anatomy of a book cover, how we're working with designers to get your book cover, anatomy of a book interior. We want to show you Atticus and Vellum and some of these programs. Yes, we're doing it for you. And we want to show you how you'll be able to do this yourself for subsequent books. The files, what KDP looks like, and how you navigate and upload things into KDP. Again, we're doing it, and we want you to be empowered to be able to do this on your own should you choose to publish another book. Ingram Spark is the inventory. It hooks in with the inventory of bookstores, libraries, retail locations. So we show you the back end of Ingram Spark, your freebie, LastPass, because organizing passwords is a pain. And then, of course, the production calls. So those weekly production calls where you can ask anything about the publication process, all right there for us. And if you can't make a session, you can always submit a question and catch the replay. And then a whole section on marketing. So again, we've got our book marketing roadmap for your personalized analysis, the Get Paid to Publish workshop, finding your audience online, growing the platform. I mean, we just keep adding to these also because as things change, we update things. And as we discover something new, we update it here as well. But like author websites, again, we're doing it for you, and we want you to know how all these things work. MailerLite, we'll do it for you, and we want you to know how, like, be able to have a resource to come back to. so that you can feel empowered and confident that you can do it too. We're creating a book launch team. Some of the tools that we like for creating marketing assets where you're showing off the book cover and posting on social media. A+ content has been really important on Amazon lately. How do you create those visuals that go on your book Amazon sales page? Setting up your ebook promotions, paid promotion opportunities, book award opportunities, how to reach out to media for press, and a quarterly relaunch. We have a 90-day promotion cycle that we recommend everyone use, and our Wednesday calls too. So the marketing calls. So all of this is available for you. And as soon as you're ready to hit go, you let us know, yes, I'm ready for, my first conversation with a book coach. And we set up a separate little portal where we can do share files, personal files back and forth in a way that's really safe and secure. So we'll get you hooked in here first so you can get comfortable, get the lay of the land. And as soon as you're ready, we're on it with you. You'll have our the easiest way to get in touch with us through Messenger, through messaging us or calling us. And as soon as you're ready, we'll set up, we have a little secure portal space called Basecamp. And as I said, we can share files securely there. So I don't like emailing stuff back and forth. It just doesn't feel secure. I'd much rather have a password protected portal. We can have version control there. We know when you've uploaded something, when we've uploaded something, and we communicate that way. So hopefully that helps. Good. So the program, we're enrolling now, and some people will want to get going right away. Some people will need a little bit of time to settle in and get their bearings. Either way is fine, because people don't move at the exact same pace anyway. So you're going to be in this experience with some authors who this is their first book, and they're just starting the first book. We're going to have some authors who this is not their first book, and maybe they're already 20,000 words in, but they want this mentorship experience. We're going to have some authors who are already halfway through writing a book, or maybe have already finished writing a book. And so because everyone's going to, and some people write fast, some people take their time, we're not going to hold people to a lockstep start date and progression. Instead, this is really about supporting you at the pace that makes the most sense for you. If that's hit the ground running, we'll be right there with you. If that's let's get comfortable, get settled, and, get going in a few weeks or a month, that's okay too. We just need to have the conversation in the next week so that we know who's in and who's not in, and we can move forward and really support you guys who are in. So if you feel like that is you, just as a quick reminder, the link is paperravenbooks.com/go. And I'm actually going to post that in the chat as well for everyone. And that is where you can put in your $100 refundable fee and fill out the application and book a time in our calendar. All righty. Other questions? I'm looking through the chat. Great. All right. If that answers your question, great. If there's anyone who is in process, you are submitting. I already see folks are booking onto our calendar for today and next week. So perfect. If you're in process, let me know so that I can hang out in case you have a question. Is there anyone who's already in the process of filling out an application and you have a question? Or if you're still here with us, because there are some folks in the room, and you have a question that I haven't answered yet, and you're wondering, is this right for me? Is this not right for me? This is the perfect time to ask the question because I can answer you directly. Okay. Can I finish my book in 6 months? Yes, Larry, we pretty consistently have people finish books in something like 4 to 6 months. And then the book is published and launched and you're into marketing before the end of the year. Yeah, that is very doable. And it's much more doable when you have a reason to finish a book in 6 months, when you have accountability from other writers, you have co-writing sessions, you have critique workshops, you have access to a writing coach to talk with, all of that support and accountability and a little sense of urgency does wonders for shortening the amount of time that it takes to write a book. And, a book is not necessarily better just because it took longer to write. It's all about, how intentional we're being with the writing sessions, how strategic were we in setting up our narrative arc, and how dedicated are we to writing each week. Those things all kind of come together in a compelling book. And for some people, they can write it in a few weeks, a few months, but something like 4 or 5 months is really, really common. If it takes just a little bit longer, it takes a little bit longer. If we're like, oh my gosh, it's month 12 and I, am launching my book this very month, I need another month of support. Like, we'll handle that. That's not going to be a problem. Maybe there's like an extra $100 or whatever for continuing support in the container, but we're gonna be there for you in the timing that really makes sense for you. And we want to provide a reason to get it done, right? We want to be the people who we've got support, we've got accountability, we've got a bit of a deadline that we're all pulling toward. So yes. Yeah, exactly. Casey's like, where? You've only told us 14 times. Yes. paperevenbooks.com/go is where we go. Yep. What do you recommend for those of us who would love to go through the program but can't get the money together right now? Just keep writing. I mean, Lynn, you're welcome to hop on the phone with us and just see if there are other options for you. This is what we're trying to create with this program, is a sense of certainty for you as authors of like, when I join with Paper Raven in this book coaching and mentorship program, I know I'm going to have everything I need to publish and launch and know how to market my book. When you're on your own and you're watching all the YouTube videos and you're going to all the webinars and you're figuring it out on your own, it takes longer. It ends up costing more money because you end up paying people to do all this random stuff that maybe was good work and maybe wasn't good work, and maybe you'd pay to get it redone again. And there are all the questions that you don't know to ask and you don't know the answers for. And that's a lot of mental energy as well. So this is sort of our best offer for how can we make this a certain, secure program where you're paying $9,500 or 11 payments of $950, and you're going to have the support and the accountability and the resources to write the book, publish the book well, professionally, and launch the book successfully, and to know how to do it again. There are a lot of folks who are going to say, this is not for me, I'm going to go off and do it on my own, which I totally respect. And as I said a few minutes ago, I hope I'm giving you the information to do it on your own. And I just have to say out loud that I've been in this industry for 15 years. I've been on the self-publishing side for 15 years. I have talked to people who have spent far more than $9,500 to get their first book out there. And the cover wasn't great. The editing wasn't great. They have no platform. They never even heard of a freebie to build their list, all sorts of things. And it's like, if you could just do this program, you wouldn't have all those problems, right? So yes, it's a 12-month engagement with us. We can, fiddle with the start date if needed. If you're like, well, I'm really going to need my 12 months to start on this date, let us know. Like, we're here, we're people, we can work with you. That's not a problem. We're not bureaucratic kind of in that way. This really is for us to best support you. But yeah, if we want to put our sort of quote unquote official start date out just a bit, that's the beginning of the 12 months. It's a 12-month program. And then for anyone who needs continued support to hang in, we do something like $100 a month, monthly, no obligation, just to continue that support and access to all the one-on-one, like weekly phone calls with our team and all that jazz. The payment plan is $950 per month for 11 months. So it ends up being just a little bit higher amount in total. But that's partly because there's a little bit of a risk on our side to do a payment plan, because you're going to come into the container and we're going to probably start right away. We're going to start with writing coaching. You're going to have one-on-one calls with us and that sort of thing. So we're probably going to incur costs, toward the beginning of the program, just because you're going to need to talk to us, right? And work with us. And so that's fine. We totally anticipate and expect that. And when we're offering the flexibility of a payment plan, there's a little bit of, I think it is a 10% more is what ends up being paid. So $9,500 for pay in full. That's the sort of the best price. But if we need the flexibility of that payment plan, it is going to be 11 payments of $950. So hopefully that helps. All right. Yep. And, Casey, you and I have talked about this before, right? And so it's not necessarily the right time for everyone. And I totally respect that, honor that. I understand that. And for the people who feel like this might be what I've been looking for, what I've been waiting for, I do believe that we have put everything into this program that we suggest, that we recommend, that are best practices for someone who's really serious about pursuing that author career, for writing not just one book, but setting up a foundation, a platform to continue writing and to be a successful author year after year, book after book. This program, so we have curriculum and coaches and writing pods for fiction and nonfiction and memoir. What we've been talking about, the folks in this room, I imagine a lot of us are writing fiction because we're doing NaNoWriMo Prep. We do have resources and curriculum and specialists for fiction and nonfiction and memoir. So if you've got a different genre, definitely that's something that we can talk about to make sure that there's a fit there. And, for our fiction folks, a lot of times our motivation is I want to go through coaching and mentorship because I want that foundation with my first book and I want to continue writing books. So that's usually our collective goals. How are we mentoring you in becoming that long-term career author? For our nonfiction folks, our conversations shift just a little bit. It becomes, well, how is this book going to help me to bring in clients or become a speaker or a thought leader on this topic, which is slightly different, right? We're setting up a slightly different kind of platform. For instance, we would have a different freebie. Your website might have some different copy. Your narrative arc is certainly going to be different, right? So there are slightly different conversations for nonfiction. And again, for memoir, that becomes a little bit of a different conversation as well. Well, what is the intention for this book? What is this book going to make possible for you? And is your memoir true sort of storytelling in a narrative fashion? Is there a self-help element? How might we bring both of those in? So again, just so that you can see, we might, we do have delineations for different curriculums and different conversations and different areas of specialization for all three. For the purposes of, this week, because it's NaNoWriMo, I've been talking about fiction. But if you've got other books, feel free to apply. We can talk to you about it specifically. We can answer any of your questions about, well, what, how would you deal with my book in particular? Happy to talk about that. And the great news is you apply, $100 refundable fee. If we decide not to move forward, we just refund you. If we decide to move forward, great, it credits. So no risk, no problem. Awesome. Thanks, Isaiah. Yeah, Isaiah, I've never been published or had experience with editors, agents, or publishing. Hope that I'll complete NaNoWriMo and just love the writing. So yeah, I mean, Isaiah, you're actually kind of hitting at a reason why I wanted to open up a cohort right around now, is because for anyone who is planning on participating in NaNoWriMo, if you want to make sure that you are finishing the book and that you have a plan for publication, this is kind of the perfect commitment, right? Of like, okay, I haven't done this before, but if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well. I want to complete not only the first draft, but I want to actually go on to publish and launch the book. It's a deep dive into the pool, but it might just be perfect timing for some folks. So if that's you, I invite you to go to paperhavenbooks.com/go and apply. Yep. Sue, what's your experience with how often, how fast the 9,500 earn back on sales, other than extra things like courses or coaching? So I will just go ahead and say, Sue, that if anyone is hoping, well, gosh, I'm going to pay the 9,500 and I need book sales return, like I need book sales to be making me that much money a year from now, I'm going to say that's probably not what either of us wants to do. Because what we're building is a long-term author career. So it's probably going to take us 9 to 12 months just to get the first book out. Yes, that first book will start earning book sales. And if you're writing fiction, we are going to be recommending that you continue to publish books. Good news is you're going to know how to get a cover design, how to do the interior, how to, get all the files together for Amazon and optimized for Amazon and uploaded. So we're getting you started with that process. And it might be 2 years, 3 years before you earn out that investment. We do have authors who have just from book sales made 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 in book sales. It's not in the first 6 months. It's over months and sometimes even a few years. And so it is the sort of thing that's, you got to do a gut check. Am I willing to invest in the way that an investment typically is, which is we put the money in, we are learning, we're gaining skills, we have professional coaching and guidance, we're producing a product, we're bringing that product to market, and over time, that's where I'm thinking about the investment is over months, maybe even over years. And so you want to kind of flash forward 5 years, 7 years, 10 years and say, will I be grateful? Will I be proud of myself for investing in and jumpstarting this author career 10 years from now? And if I don't jumpstart and invest in my author career now, how many years is it going to be till I publish? 10 years from now, am I going to wish that I had already? So I think that's a really good reflective conversation to have with yourself is 5 years from now or 10 years from now, am I going to be glad that I leapt off what felt like leaping off a cliff? Am I going to be glad that I leapt off the cliff and learned how to fly on the way? Or am I going to sit on the sidelines, not jump off the cliff, and continue year over year to wish that I had just done it, just published the book? So that's a little bit of a roundabout answer. I can't possibly know how well your book is going to sell, how quickly you're going to earn out this investment. There's no way for anyone to know the answer to that. What we're really thinking about is if we know that we want to publish a book, become an author, continue publishing books, and we're going to spend some amount of time, months, years, some amount of money in the whole process, is this something that I want coaching and mentorship and guidance from the Paper Haven Books team on? If it feels like a yes, then just apply, right? That's the only decision we're talking about right now, is applying, which is $100 refundable deposit, so that we can talk about it one-on-one. Like we're not actually even making the decision to invest in the program right this second. We're making the decision, do I want to continue this conversation? Do I want to seriously consider it? Do I want to talk to someone about whether it's a fit for me and for my life and the books that I'm writing? If yes, paperhavenbooks.com/go. Easy $100 refundable deposit. That's just to make sure we both show up and are ready for a serious conversation. And if we decide, no, it's not a fit, we'll refund you. No problem. If we decide, yes, it is a fit, we'll credit toward tuition. So I hope that helps. All right, we are coming to time. So I'm going to call us complete for today. I hope today has been very helpful for you guys. For anyone who has already applied, I have seen your applications coming in. Thank you. And we are excited to talk with you about your book. And if you've decided not to, I hope that at the very least, I've been able to give you some new information, some new insights that you had maybe not had access to before someone had not shared you with. So I am super grateful to have spent this time with you, and we'll be back for more in another session. And I hope that y'all have a good rest of your day. All right. Thank you, everybody. Talk soon.